want people crazy enough to say, I'm going to get up tomorrow and I'm going to make a difference in the world. Me and Aaron went down to the beach, and he was sitting to my left. I was sitting on the sand. And then I saw something through my peripheral vision to the right. It was this guy, really, jacked, huge. But that wasn't really the defining characteristic. He had no legs. He was a double amputee. And he had his crutches, and he was working his way down the beach to touch the water. And he handled that, navigated that so well. And you could tell he was a fighter. He just did not allow his physical challenges to limit his life. You could feel his nobility and his strength, his intention. But when he turned around to work his way back up, the sand was more moist and more unstable. And so when he put his crutches into the sand and he went to move forward, he just fell face forward, and he just hit face forward so hard. And I saw it happen. And I made a choice. You see, a lot of us don't acknowledge that we make choices. We just act as if life is happening. But I made a choice. I made a choice to not get up and help him. And I had 1,000 different thoughts rationalizing it. And then he got himself up, and he put the crutches back under his arms, and he stabilized himself, and he took another step, and he just fell hard again, face forward. And I made a choice. He was to my right, and I made a choice. I made a choice to look to my left. I made a choice to look in the other direction, to pretend he wasn't in my moment. And Aaron was right there, and I remember making a choice to put my hand on his shoulder, and I thought, I need to get his attention so he doesn't see this, because this is just too painful. And he was maybe, 10 years old, and I started having a conversation with him about meaningless things, about everything I should not have been talking about in that moment. I made a choice. And Aaron interrupted whatever I was saying, and he looked at me and he said, Dad, I have to go help that man. And when he said that, it just cut through me like a knife. He didn't even have to say, what man? He didn't have to say, hey, Dad, there's a man over there. I don't know if you've seen him. All he said was, Dad, I have to go help that man. He knew. He knew I knew. And when he said that, all my hypocrisy just came spilling out of my soul. And I could barely get the words out. I just looked at him and I said, then buddy, go help him. And he just jumped up and ran. By the speed of his action, I knew that I had trapped him in my moment. I had sucked him into my abyss of apathy and passivity and mediocrity, and I was pulling my son down to my level. He wanted to be free. The only way to be free was to choose differently than me. He was like Jonathan looking at his father and saying, I'm not going to stay in your moment. I'm going to act. I'm just going to do something. See, I had the physical capacity to help that man. Aaron did not. And he ran over there and he grabbed a crutch with one hand, and then without even introducing himself, he just immediately went and grabbed the arm of the man and started trying to pull him up. And it was an awkward moment because the guy now was trying to get up with this little boy trying to help him up. And there were probably hundreds of people right around it, all of them having made the same choice I made to pretend this wasn't happening. And then all of a sudden I watched, because I was still sitting in the smallness of my moment, watching life happen around me. And this whole group converged in that moment on that guy and Aaron, and they picked up the crutches, and then they picked up the man, and then they carried him from the beach to the hotel, and Aaron ran underneath the crowd as they carried him in. And then when he ran back to me, he looked so discouraged and so dejected. And he said, Daddy, I couldn't help the man. I wasn't strong enough. And I remember it was so clear. No, buddy, you got it all wrong. You were the only one who had the strength to choose. You were the only one who had the strength to act. All of that only happened because you made that moment. come to life. How many times in my life has God waited for me to turn to the right, but I turned to the left? How many times did God wait for me to make the choice that would just unlock the divine, the miraculous, the beautiful, the human? And I just settled for less. And no one could have ever said anything about me. No one could say, well, he did this terrible thing, or he made these horrible choices. You know, the most tragic thing about the moments of our lives is that most of them, we will not be defined by anything because we just did nothing. So you weren't a bad person. You weren't destructive. You were nice. You just didn't care enough to act. I've had enough of those moments in my life. I don't want any more. I want to look in the direction of the good I can do. So you want to know what God wants you to do? He wants you to do something. You go, oh yeah, but how do I know? Just do, and then you'll know. I was watching this old movie, Far and Away, with Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman, and it was Irish immigration and the Oklahoma land rush, and in the morning, men had to get on horses and ride out to the land, and whatever land you got to first, you get to claim it as your land. I love that, very pioneering. And Tom Cruise didn't know how to ride a horse, so he had to go buy one, and there were two options, and this one wild stallion just kicking and snorting and just looked insane, and the guy selling horses said, that's a wild stallion. That's fast. That horse is fast, but he's wild, he's untamed. And Tom Cruise looking at it thinking, I do not want to get on that horse. He said, do you have any other horses? And he goes, now over here we got this. This is a calm horse. This is a tame horse. This is a steady horse. And Tom Cruise says, I'll take that horse. And then next morning when he's getting ready to go claim his land, he goes to get his horse, and his horse is laying on the ground dead. And this old man walks by, I think it's a cameo, and he says, that there was the oldest horse I ever did see. And I thought, oh, that's the problem with most of us. We keep choosing the dead horse because we're afraid of the wild stallion. But I want you to know it's easier for God to use a wild stallion than it is for him to use a dead horse. You worried about doing the wrong thing? Man, just get alive. Care about something. Let passion burn in your soul. Some of you, you have all the wood that the altar needs. What you need is the fire.